In 2006, Atlas Core was founded to address critical social issues by developing leaders, strengthening organizations, and promoting innovations through an overseas fellowship and virtual learning programs of skilled professionals from around the world. Our community began with an inaugural class of 6 fellows who hailed from Colombia and India. In 15 years, Atlas Core has empowered 1,100 leaders from 110 countries, partnered with 400 host organizations, US embassies, and our network of supporters to multiply impact domestically and worldwide. Atlas Core leaders represent the richness of diversity, inclusion, and cultural awareness. Now, more than ever, we need to keep building bridges between social change leaders from around the world. During our 15th anniversary year, Atlas Core continues to engage social change leaders as fellows and virtual scholars. Our fellows serve in the United States and virtually from their home regions. Virtual scholars enhance their professional skills, build global networks, and prepare for leadership in home communities during our Virtual Leadership Institute, a new online leadership development program launched by Atlas Core in 2020. This year, we invite you to celebrate with us our 15th anniversary. Thank you for supporting our community of global changemakers. Thank you for supporting Atlas Core.
Hello, everyone out there. Thank you so much for tuning in today. My name is Zach Morris, Senior Manager of Global Engagement at Atlas Core, and I'm here with a couple of special guests who I will introduce later. Julie McKay, Deputy Cultural Affairs Officer, Victor Rujano from Venezuela, and Brian Torres from Nicaragua. Today, I'm going to tell you about our special initiative for emerging social impact professionals from Brazil to participate in an innovative virtual leadership development program. At the end, we'll take your questions, but feel free to submit them in the comment section of YouTube or Facebook, wherever you're viewing in from. So for those of you who may be unfamiliar with what we do at Atlas Core engages talented global professionals committed to social impact in leadership development programs. The classic program that we've been operating for 15 years is a 12-month professional fellowship serving with US host organizations, either in person or online. Last year, we launched a new program called Virtual Leadership Institute to continue and deepen our engagement with global changemakers, even when travel still remains difficult. Atlas Core believes in the power of helping rising leaders throughout the world to connect across borders, whether that be online or in person. At the heart of our organization's mission is the belief that empowered, trained, and networked individuals are the most effective means to address critical social issues on local and global levels. Now, what is the Brazil Northern States Emerging Leaders Initiative? The goals of these initiatives are to strengthen ties between the US and Brazil to really increase mutual understanding and cooperation in the areas of inclusive economic growth, empowerment of women and minority groups, and the strengthening of democratic values. And it's also to empower young civil society leaders and social entrepreneurs from Brazil. We are looking to engage 10 emerging Brazilian social change leaders from the northern region of Brazil in this Virtual Leadership Institute. They'll be joining an online global community to empower these leaders known as Atlas Core Scholars. There are 3 key elements to the Virtual Leadership Institute. That is our learning modules, developing others, developing self, and leading movements, and the professional development electives in a leadership project. And just to give you a better visual on that, I am going to go ahead and share my screen. And our program start date for this initiative is February 24th, 2022. And here are the different elements that we have for the Virtual Leadership Institute. Now, to talk a little bit about the benefits, the goal of the Leadership Institute is to prepare scholars for leadership in their communities and to create empowered, trained, and networked individuals as the most effective means to address critical social issues on local and global levels. Scholars in this program, and specifically within the Brazil initiative, will gain benefits such as the following. Be empowered to lead initiatives that promote economic inclusion and growth, empower women and minorities, and spread democratic values in Brazil through education, training, and practical experience. Come away with broader perspectives by being introduced to American and global values and the perspective of peers from diverse backgrounds and life experiences through intercultural exchange, exercises in inclusive leadership, and self-reflection. And also to connect with other leaders, Brazilian, American, and even global, whose influence, ideas, or support can contribute to the capacity of participants to affect positive change in Brazil. Lastly, we recognize the need, especially in the region of northern Brazil, that you may need some extra support with technology. So Atlas Corps will utilize a technology assessment to ensure that you have technology needs, such as internet access, to meet and fully be able to participate in the Leadership Institute. And again, I remind you, if you have any comments or questions throughout the webinar, feel free to put those in the comments and we'll get to them at the end. Next, I wanted to go ahead and welcome our guest, Julie, to the stage to share a little bit about, from the embassy's perspective, the benefit of this initiative, of this partnership. So welcome, Julie. It's really great to have you here today.
It's wonderful to be here this evening. It's evening here in Brazil. I'm coming to you from Brasilia, and I was just in the north of Brazil last week. And on behalf of the U.S. Embassy, we are supporting this program along with Atlas Corps as our partner. And some people have asked, why are we doing a program specifically for the north of Brazil? And I know people out there that are from the north already know this, but I would like to recognize that it's a very important region of Brazil. It is the largest region of Brazil. It covers the Amazon, the 7 states. There's only one other state that's not included that is part of the Amazon. And we have found, as we look at our programs, that we don't historically have as many participants that are applying for our programs and that are being selected from the north. And so we really see the importance of the north of Brazil in this region, and we really want to give these opportunities specifically for leaders, young leaders, emerging leaders in the 7 states of the north. There are 10 spots. There are 7 states. We hope that we will have a representative from every state. We really see the value of this program, the resources, the skills, all of the opportunities that come along with it. We're very excited for the network that the participants will gain out of this program. They'll be networked with each other and then for other leaders around the world. And so we see this as incredibly valuable. I heard about Atlas Corps some of those 15 years ago, and it's grown and grown, and it's an amazing program. And we're so pleased as the U.S. Embassy in Brazil to be able to partner with Atlas Corps, to be able to offer this opportunity of 100 hours of online training to young leaders in the north of Brazil. I would say, do not pass this opportunity up. You need to apply right after this session. I challenge you to go ahead and apply. It's an amazing opportunity, and we would like to see 10 incredible leaders from the north be part of this program. I think that's all. I really appreciate the partnership, and the U.S. Embassy appreciates the partnership with Atlas Corps. Thank you for arranging this session. I think it's very valuable to people who are thinking about applying to better understand the program. And we have some past participants that can answer the questions that people have. And so thank you for joining us tonight. Apply immediately. We want you to have the opportunity. And thank you and enjoy the session.
Thank you so much for your kind words, Julie. Perfect. Well, I am going to go ahead and in more detail going to explain what the Virtual Leadership Institute is before we bring our alumni into the session to talk about their experiences with the Virtual Leadership Institute. So sharing my screen again. And what you see here is a snapshot of the amazing community of Atlas Core fellows and scholars you'll be joining through participation in the Brazil Emerging Leaders Initiative. So maybe even Victor is in here somewhere, one of our speakers today. So what are the modules? Our institute curriculum is based on the modules of developing self, developing others, and leading movements with an orientation and a reflection in the beginning and the end. And key elements of this module include a keynote speaker, an interactive workshop, self-led activities, peer coaching groups, and community building activities. So first, I'll start with our activities and electives. You'll have the opportunity to go through online activities associated with each module. While some activities are required, you'll be able to customize your schedule and what you decide to, what you're interested in by the electives that you select. So these are just examples of some of the activities within 3 of our modules. You typically have around 3 to 4 weeks to complete each module. And within that period, you'll be able to work through the activities on your own time and schedule. And then also engage with other scholars in online discussion about these activities. So I really enjoy talking about emotional intelligence. And there's a really cool activity in there about that, it's not all about how intellectual you are, but how do you express and control your emotions. In addition to that, another one I really love is the People Power Hour. And that's the opportunity to hear from other scholars who are talking about their leadership journey, who are talking about how they're leading social change movements or social impact in their communities. It's just a really great opportunity to get a global perspective on what people are doing to work on their social issues. So we also have the leadership project, and each scholar will design a leadership project, which could be an activity, a training session, adventure, and it's really broad what it could be. But the idea is that we will provide you with seed funding for you to implement projects that generate local impact in communities, in your communities in Brazil. And we will select the most promising projects and fund up to $1,000 per project. So that is through our Community Impact Fund. Now, this does not have to be a completely new project. It could be maybe you want to add some value to an existing organization or initiative that you're currently working on. That is okay. The project can be something completely new, or it could be a smaller piece to something that's already existing. And here are just some of the examples that you can focus on. Really can be awareness campaigns, training sessions, speaking engagements, anything that you see will benefit your communities in Brazil, and specifically activities that promote economic inclusion and growth, empower women and minorities, and spread democratic values in Brazil. Now, we're also going to have, let me go back, peer coaches who will who are US and global peers. And you'll be in these group sessions where you can talk with other scholars about their leadership project, talk through ideas with them, and also talk about the curriculum in general. So it's a great way to connect in smaller groups with the other leaders that are participating in the Institute. Okay. Now you can here are some of the details in terms of who is eligible to apply. So feel free to go to brazil.atlascore.org for all of the details in Portuguese. Our priority deadline is the 23rd, but then the program dates are starting in February 24th. Will be the launch of our institute next year through August, roughly. Give or take a few months after August to continue implementing that leadership project with the funds that you receive. Now, the eligibility requirements are here as follows. Having Brazilian citizenship and residency in those states of northern Brazil. So Acre, Amapá, Amazonas, Pará, Tocantins, Rondônia, and Roraima. Apologies, I believe I just butchered the Portuguese language there, but from those states, availability for approximately 3 to 5 hours per week of virtual activity. English proficiency. So we are looking for applicants who are able to understand English. So if you can understand what I'm saying during this call, then you're definitely proficient in understanding English. And then being able to, we are looking for a certain degree of being able to speak it, not giving a presentation like I am today, but, being conversationally comfortable in conversing with others in English in the peer coaching groups and such. And then written English, again, we are not looking for perfection, but just the ability to express your thoughts. Does not have to be grammatically correct in all places. A lot of our scholars, English is not your native language, but just, feeling comfortable writing in English so that you can contribute to the groups and others can understand sort of where you're coming from and the leadership experience that you have. Technology for video call. So we will do a technology assessment to determine what you may need. But you will need to participate in video calls throughout the Institute to be fully immersed in the different workshops that we have. We're looking ideally for 2 years of social impact experience. And we'd love for you to talk about anything related to economic inclusion and growth, women and minorities, and democratic values in Brazil. So you're interested in that, but just generally, any connection you have to wanting to, it could really, you could define it very broadly, and just, what we're looking for is you especially to write about what you're passionate about in terms of helping your community in Brazil. And ages 22 to 35 and a bachelor's degree. So those are the different eligibility guidelines that we have. And of course, the last one is just wanting to continue a career in Brazil and for benefit of the people of Brazil is very important for us too. And top candidate to apply will be potentially invited to an interview and then subsequently join the Virtual Leadership Institute. And you would get an offer in January. Amazing. Well, now that is enough talking for me, and I'm happy to bring in our 2 speakers today, 2 alumni, so you can hear directly from them about their experiences. Welcome, Victor and Brian. So great to have you here today.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Of course. Perfect. Well, I am just going to ask you a couple of questions about your experiences with the virtual leadership Institute. So my first question for you is really just to introduce yourselves, your name, your country, and what social issue you're passionate about, like what you're currently working on.
All right, I can go first. Well, my name is Brian Torres. I'm from Nicaragua, Leon. I'm currently working and living in Antigua, Guatemala. I'm passionate about youth empowerment, and as a social worker and political science specialist, I've been working with international volunteers for more than 7 years all over Latin America, such as in Dominican Republic, Ecuador, Costa Rica, and also Germany, and now here in Guatemala, and as well as in Nicaragua. I think it's super important as a young person as well to like encourage other people to step out of their comfort zone, to make them feel their ideas are valuable, and also like to create awareness on all kind of social issues, right? Like we all are passionate about like either working with kids or teaching or medical, but like my role in general is to exploit that little passion of that sparkle that you have on you to take it to the next level.
Well, it's my turn. My name is Victor Rujano. I am a lawyer from Maracaibo, Venezuela. I'm also a part of the first cohort of the Virtual Leadership Institute. It's been almost or over a year that we started. And well, some of the social issues I'm most passionate about are human rights, environmental law, and social entrepreneurship. And I'm currently working with several organizations to call a few, leading the nonprofit organization called CIMAS, which is promoting the environmental law and indigenous rights in my hometown, Maracaibo, and the Sul state in Venezuela. Also, I'm leading another group of entrepreneurs that we're working towards fostering entrepreneurship in this particular context of the pandemic. We started a year ago. And lastly, I'm part of the board of director of the State Alumni Venezuela chapter Zulia. We are working towards implementing activities, impactful activities regarding human rights, education, environment, and democracy all over our state, the state of Zulia. So I'm very passionate about those areas of work, and I'm still working in Venezuela, trying to do my hardest to, well, make a change that we need in our communities.
That's so amazing. I don't know how you fit all this activities into the day. Very admirable what you're both doing. Great. Well, could you tell me a little bit about why you decided to apply for the Virtual Leadership Institute?
Well, I can go first here. Well, I have to be honest, I didn't apply for the Virtual Leadership Institute. I actually applied for the fellowship of Atlas Core, and then the pandemic started, and we received a notice that the in-person fellowship were to be put on standby, since we have so many issues going on, and really we didn't even know at the moment that if we are going to recover our regular lives. So after a few months in the pandemic, I received an invitation, since I was a semi-finalist of the fellowship. So I was invited to take a part in the first Virtual Leadership Institute, and I didn't hesitate. I know that all the work that the Atlas Corp team puts, it's always going to be a quality stuff. And I decided to read about the program, and seeing all those modules, it really clicked with me. And at that moment in time, in the middle of the pandemic, I didn't know what's going to happen next. We were in curfews. We were locked at our houses. So I had a lot of free time. So I thought, well, it's the perfect time to do something extra, to take advantage of that time. And I think I did the right decision. I really feel privileged to have take part in this first Virtual Leadership Institute, and over I think it was around 6 months that we were working in the Virtual Leadership Institute. I learned so much about not only how to lead movements or lead others, but also lead myself as a leader. I think it's so much value there. So that's how I ended up with the Virtual Leadership Institute.
Awesome. Thank you. And yes, that's true. You did not apply, but this is a great opportunity in December, especially to offer to those who express their interest in it.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, thank you, Victor. I also applied to both the Virtual Leadership Institute and also for the fellowship, because something that is really motivating for me is first networking and also leadership development. I feel like if you create a network of people that can help you and be beneficial for your ideas and develop your ideas, this is a great opportunity for, especially because you're connecting with people from all over the world. At least in my cohort, I am part of the cohort 3, and I was sharing ideas with people from Africa, from South Asia, from Russia, from all over the world. And obviously, same as Victor, I gained so many soft skills and core skills on entrepreneurship, like project planning, emotional intelligence, diversity, cognitive diversity, and most important is how to build your ideas and organize your ideas in a way that is more efficient, by receiving feedback from your mentors, receiving feedback from other peers and other fellows as well. So it's a great opportunity for you guys to open your eyes and think out of the box, but also help others while you're making your little projects, or you're making an impact in your own community. And also, regardless if it's a personal project or it's a project you're just supporting for your organization, the takeaways that you're taking with you per se are super important, because you're becoming a stronger and a better and wiser leader. So for me, the biggest motivation was just that, to create a large network of people I can rely on no matter what. And I've seen the results. For example, today there was a person who reached out to me on my Instagram, and he was like, "Hey, Brian, I saw that you just completed the Virtual Leadership Institute. Can you share some tips with me?" And now I felt really, really proud of that, because I'm not doing this just to show my titles or show what I do. I do it because if I was able to do it, other people can do it as well.
Amazing. And we're getting a lot of great questions from Julia, which I will definitely answer. So stay tuned, Julia. What were some highlights of your participation in the Virtual Leadership Institute?
Well, in my case, I believe it was a leadership project. I decided to do a community leadership project to raise awareness about the single-use plastic and problem situation in my city, especially in the affecting the Maracaibo's Lake, which is one of the biggest lakes in South America. And the situation is getting worse every single day, and nothing has been done. So I decided to apply with this project because I think that it was a great moment to start the debate about this situation. And we did an event here with the collaboration of the Venezuelan American Center in the Sul State to promote that debate. And we are aiming to in the future, be able to draft legislation about this in a local level. In Venezuela, nothing has been done on that matter. So I got the inspiration to do that, doing the monthly coaching groups meetings, and now I think we are going our way to propose that draft legislation. I think in the next 3 to 4 months we're going to be ready to do that, and that was thanks to all the mentoring and all the feedback that I received from my peers, from my coach, and all the modules that I got to do during the institute.
So cool. And I remember reading about your project on Canvas back in almost a year ago, or, Go ahead, Brian.
Yes, to me, the highlights were two. The first one was for me to be able to connect with a scholar from Africa, from Madagascar, particularly, because I thought it was just an island, there was nothing there, but there's people with dreams and projects. And we were having a virtual coffee and a virtual tea, and we were talking about like how can she improve her fundraising skills. And I told her like, hey, like, what you can do is just like simply share an email to all of your friends and people that you know. And she was like, that's a great idea. Like, and after that, she was able to like actually raise some money. And for me, it was just like a simple idea that I did in the past. And it was really amazing just to something that for me was really simple for someone else was like a great impact. And then my second highlight was on one of the modules that we were talking about social movements, particularly because like Nicaragua was going through a lot of political conflicts, and being able to speak up in a safe environment allows me to like give my perspective and my index of what the situation is about, and receive like a lot of messages of support, and be like, hey, you have to like what are you doing is like, it's super important, just talk about those issues, like, and making sure that like people know about it, right? Like, because like sometimes what we see on social media or in the news, it's just one side of the story, but it's different when someone who is going through those things or is living those things, is more like realistic, and people can be more supportive and understanding of the social issue that you're trying to defend, or the social issue that you're like involved into, even though you don't want to be part of it.
Amazing. Thank you so much. I love that, even the smallest tip to someone could have a great impact. So really great hearing that story and getting to know Madagascar. Perfect. And this is a question from the audience, and feel free to interpret it how you wish, but how does the leadership program affect your professional and personal life?
Well, in my case, I was at the middle of the pandemic, and I got a lot of free time, so it didn't really affect very much my professional work. We were on lockdown, and I could not go to my regular job or doing all the other things I usually do. So for me, at that moment, it was not very an issue for me, or about time management, or affecting other activities that I had to do. But I think if you are passionate about what you do, you will find ways to incorporate the Virtual Leadership Institute in your agenda, or make the necessary changes to be able to commit fully to all the modules.
Just to me, the impact was like really positive in a way that I was also like trapped during the pandemic, and I was working in a call center, which is completely different from what I do. And like being part of the program and like being involved in leadership and all this, like it was a huge source of motivation. And that's why like I feel like I was able to like move away from where the teacher was, which I didn't like much, and just go back and help other people to like be better self. But the most important thing about like being part of the Virtual Leadership Institute was like to remind myself like what my goals were from the beginning, and just to move forward and continue with it. So like at the end of the day, I knew that that was in me, and it was kind of like forgotten because of the madness that was happening in the world. But it helps me to like bring back that and just continue doing what I was doing and what I love to do.
Amazing. And then my last question for you for right now is just to tell me about, and you did a little bit, but maybe another VLI activity that you enjoyed participating in.
Well, in my case, the monthly peer coaching groups meetings, I really enjoyed that a lot, since I got the chance to share and have feedback, receive feedback from my peers from several countries. My group was small. We were only 5, and we were from Canada, Algeria, Nigeria, and Palestine, which was for me mind-blowing, because I suddenly had the chance to talk directly to people from on the other side of the world. And not only that, but supporting each other by giving feedback, receiving feedback, giving some tips, or even or only asking how's your day going. I mean, it's amazing to be able to do that with a global community, and that's, I think, one of the most enjoyable parts of the Virtual Leadership Institute. Also, the opportunities that being a part of the Atlas Core family gives and offers to all of the alumni. For me, it's been an eye-opening experience, and I feel that so many opportunities I have the chance now because of the my participation in the Virtual Leadership Institute.
And to me, my favorite activity was like not like the implementation, but like the preparing like the logic model that helps me to work in a way that is more efficient and more organized to prepare my project. So you basically are like oriented to design your project, like even though you have like a set idea, like the logic model helps you to like organize your ideas much better in a way that is simple, in a way that is efficient, and in a way that is like that you can sell your idea to others rather than just go over like many little details that people perhaps like will be overwhelmed. I think that was super awesome to like learn and put into practice right away.
Amazing. Well, thank you. Thank you both for speaking about the Virtual Leadership Institute. I'm going to take you off the screen for now and just go over some application tips, and then I'll bring you in at the end for any other remaining questions we may have from the audience. Awesome. All right, everyone. So what I'm going to do next is I'm just going to give you some application tips that you should keep in mind when you're applying. Okay. So the first is to be specific and to provide examples. When we ask you to explain why you're interested in the program, just think about the specifics, like talking about your experience about addressing critical social issues, give examples of your responsibilities, accomplishments, the work you've already done, the advocacy you've done already. Really highlight that experience addressing social issues. There are a number of different careers that could make you a good fit for this program. If you worked for a government, advocacy group, an NGO, or even a private company, you still could have had a social impact. So whatever your exact career field is, just ensure you make that connection to the aims of the leadership initiative for Brazil, and just make sure it's clear by highlighting it in your bio and your essays. So ask yourself, how do I demonstrate my experience or interest as a candidate in promoting inclusive economic growth, democratic values, empowerment of women and minorities, or just generally like how am I going to promote social impact in my community? So really think through how you're going to write that when filling out your application. Check over your spelling and grammar. So this program is conducted in English, and while we don't require an English test like the TOEFL or IELTS, your application does need to demonstrate that you do feel comfortable writing in English and that we can understand what you're writing. You don't have to be perfect, a novelist, but again, just being able to express your ideas in English is really the most important thing we're looking for. So just make sure it's professional, and feel free to have a friend proofread your application if you choose. Write a strong 1-paragraph bio. So this is the first essay of your application. So when we're reading your application, this is their first impression of you. So we do give you examples of some other scholar bios, and really just make sure you include your accomplishments, your past work experience, and what your main social issue is, who you are as a person. And so those are some of the important tips that I have. Other tips for the Brazilian initiative. that I recommend is that, again, like technology, we will do technology assessment with you to make sure that you have the means to be able to participate in the Institute. So feel free to, there are questions about that we ask in the application. And just, write about what makes you unique and what you're able to contribute to this program, along with what you're going to take out of it. We're very, very excited to having everyone in the program. There are a couple of questions from the audience that I wanted to answer. So the first is, will every scholar receive $1,000 to develop the leadership project? So there will be 10 leaders for this specific initiative, and our plan is to give $1,000 up to $1,000 to at least 5 of the most promising projects. So really, as long as you come up with, you put the work in to, do the leadership project activities and to come up with a compelling idea that fits in with the initiative, we'd definitely be willing to fund it, and it'd make you a good prospect for having that project funded. And then the other question was also about the leadership project. How is the development of our leadership project going to work? Will we present results of the project every month and meeting? Is someone going to coach us while developing the project? Those are all great questions that our guests spoke upon earlier, but you'll be put in groups of probably 6 or 7 people. And then there's going to be a group coach, and that will be the opportunity for you to talk about your leadership project and also to talk about the Institute in general and curriculum that you found interesting. So you're going to have that opportunity to connect on the smaller level with others. Atlas Core from our end will also review your leadership project and give you some feedback on it. And, you can also always reach out to us by email if you want a more expansive feedback. You don't have to present the results at every month or meeting. It's more of a discussion-based thing. The groups are discussion-based, talking about their project, but it won't be a formal presentation of your results. And really only bringing up where you need help. And then there will be, throughout the Institute, there'll be specific times that you submit a small report or an activity that is related to your leadership project. So yeah, there will be different reports to submit to develop that leadership project. So then I heard, I see another one about the application. I already applied for the fellowship and I'm working on the virtual leadership. Is that how I'm supposed to proceed? Yeah, so I think that you should. We do have a separate application for this this specific initiative for Brazil. So if you go to the website, brazil.atlascore.org, then that's where you'll find the correct application to be able to apply. I do believe Victor and Brian did apply to our fellowship application, which also served as our Institute, Virtual Leadership Institute application. But for this specific application, you are applying to that shorter application that is on brazil.atlascore.org. So yes, you are doing it correctly. You should also fill out that additional application for the Virtual Leadership Institute to be considered. And that's just because it has additional questions about technology and your leadership project that the other application doesn't. Great question. I'm also going to bring our speakers back in to see if anyone has any questions for them. Let me bring you back to the stream. Amazing. So yeah, lots of other questions, lots of great questions so far. let's see, Victor or Brian, do you have any application tips that you'd like to give? I know you also applied to the fellowship, but anything you kind of thought about while applying that you can share with others?
Yes, I can go if you don't mind. To me, I think it's super important and it's key to be very assertive because like you have limited like words that you can put into the paragraph. So just like keep your words very simple but very assertive. Like making sure like in ten sentences you are able to like express what you want to express for your project. And second, show facts. Like if you already have a project going on, like talk about the impacts, like how like percentage of people that you have reach out to, like how many people have heard of your ideas, like that's super important because like first impressions, right? Like these applications are like thousands and thousands of applications or hundreds of applications, and people that is reviewing them, they just want to go for the substance and they just want to know who you are, what are you doing, and the people that you're impacting. So that will be my advice.
Yeah, I think that's a great piece of advice, and that I really do appreciate reading specific applications where you're able to demonstrate your impact and your accomplishments. And that reminded me of something else. At the end of the application, there is an optional section where you can write about your identity, your background, any piece that you think is relevant for us to know about. So that is where you can really feel free to talk about that more personal background that may not necessarily relate to your professional experience.
Well, I think I will add to what Ryan said was a very important tip. But we also say that you have to show passion for what you do or what you are doing with your projects, with your the social issues you are passionate about. It's very important to get that translated into the application. So people that will read those forms will be able to see that reading your application. So I think it's very important to do that.
Amazing. I do see another question here about the semifinalist agreement, which is for our fellowship program. We recently did send out that agreement. If you have any additional questions about the fellowship or the Virtual Leadership Institute, you can email us at apply@atlascore.org. It does. We do get a high volume of emails, so sometimes it does take us a little bit of time to respond. I do encourage everyone on the call, if you do have any additional questions, we will eventually get to your question, or if you're having an issue with the system and even a deadline's coming up, we can be very flexible with extending the deadline if there's a specific technical issue that you're facing. Okay, here's another question. Will the scholars from Brazil northern states be able to interact with alumni and scholars from other parts of the world? Yes. We are doing it a little bit differently this year. And I'll love if both of you could maybe speak more about, who you interacted with. But for February, we're going to have 10 Brazilians, 10 Singaporeans, 5 from Cote d'Ivoire, and then Indians. So it's going to be very, very, those are the different initiatives that we have, and they'll all join together for our February cohort. And then we'll also have others who have applied to our fellowship and have also expressed interest in the Virtual Leadership Institute. But I know you, if there's anything else you want to mention related to this, I know you both gave cool stories before.
Sure. I think that was one of my main takeaways of the fellowship of the Virtual Leadership Institute, is the ability to connect with a global audience. And even after the Virtual Leadership Institute, the AtlasCore network is open to you. It's open to you to connect with alumni, fellows, scholars from all across the world. So I had the chance to do that, talking with people from Nigeria, United Kingdom, United States, I mean, it's such an incredible opportunity, a unique opportunity, even if it's a virtual leadership institute. Online institute, you will still have the chance to connect with people from all across the world. And I think that's such an amazing thing to do, especially in these times where we need to find inspiration, we need to find connections. And virtual connections are also very important. So I think it's one of the main highlights of my participation.
Yes, absolutely. Like definitely, I met people that they were doing similar projects to mine, which is like working with youth and career coaching and similar to education. And we were able to like talk about these things and like put like little pieces of projects together and be like, now I know my project is going to be so much better because I'm not the only one doing this. Like I know there's someone else like in Africa, in Madagascar, in Russia doing the same thing. And that's like one of the biggest takeaways. And also like for you to be like really like a networking expert, don't feel afraid to ask for contact information, like email, and then just like create a database of all the people and then just can reach out to them and be like, hey, like I have a struggle with my logic model. I have struggled with this assignment. Like, can you help me? I just heard during your introduction that you were really good at this or that. And that can help you also to improve and to receive feedback from people that is like struggling the same way as you do. And obviously also like offering help. So it's a way for you guys to like share your knowledge, but also receive knowledge from others. And that's like the beauty of this program.
Awesome. Yeah, and I think you'll be able to connect with the other Brazilians that are participating. We had our Indonesia Virtual Leadership Institute initiative last year. There were 40 scholars from Indonesia, and they are like all good friends now. I am just seeing posts from them about it at an empathy event or just meeting up for dinner, posting it all the time on different social media channels. So that is really, really enjoyable to see how they've even connected in the real world offline. So I think that, especially for this, the northern Brazil is a vast place. I think most of them are in Jakarta. It might be a little bit different, but who knows? In the future, you may be able to even connect in person with some of those other leaders. Amazing. Well, if there's, we'll go for one more question. If anyone has any last question that I can answer, or any of us can answer. All right. Well, I don't see. Oh, okay. Here's our last question that we'll have. A comment, hi, dear brothers. And then the other question is for both Victor and Ryan, the leadership project I have in mind doesn't quite connect with my experiences in college education. Any tips for me to make it work?
Well,
Okay,
go ahead, Ryan.
Go, Victor.
Well, I think the leadership project is very wide in scope. So you can do whatever you want if it's related to what you're passionate about or the change that you need in your community. You don't need to have a special background to do your leadership project. You just need the skills to make it happen and the connections and the mentorship that you will receive in the Virtual Leadership Institute to shape that project into the execution of it. So I don't think that you need to have a special background or a certain profession to do your leadership project, as long as you are passionate about it and you are really into creating the changes that your community need.
Yes, totally agree with Victor. Like, I totally relate to your question because, like, okay, I'm a social worker and I'm specialized in political sciences, and then my project is focused on career coaching. They don't match. But at the end of the day, like, if you follow like the guideline of the logic model, like what your mission is, what your vision is, and all the little tasks that you have to accomplish, regardless of your background, you can make it possible. And that's why you are going to be part of this. There's someone who is like an entrepreneur and is like specialized in that idea, and then you can like have a private chat with the person and be like, hey, like I have no idea, I just know like the basics, I'm really passionate about this, but I just need you to help me to organize this, can you help me? And that's how you get it done, right? Like that's the most important thing, is like if you don't know how to do something, don't be afraid to ask for help, because like everyone else in this cohort, it's for the same reason as you are here, right? Like to make this project happen and to help each other.
Thank you so much. Yeah, and I think that just even if it's not directly tied to your professional experience in your application, just be specific when you're talking about your idea and like what you want to accomplish, and just give me, I'll probably be reviewing a lot of them, an idea of like, I want to look at it and know that you've thought out what you want to do with this leadership project, and like see how the Virtual Leadership Institute can come in and help you build it. But just have a good base idea for what you'd like to do. Amazing. Well, we are approaching the end of the session. I'm just so thankful for everyone here today, Victor, Brian, and Julie, who have given their time to talk about the Virtual Leadership Institute. It's really been great to hear about your experiences and what you've been up to recently. Really, really great joy. So really super appreciative of your time, and also appreciative of the audience to stick around for this info session to hear about this exciting initiative. And I really hope that, that you will decide to apply, and that in February we can connect virtually for the Institute. Again, if you have any other questions, feel free to email us at apply@atlascore.org. The email is also on the bottom of the Brazil page, where you can read more about the initiative. So yeah, I hope you have a great evening, and that I'll see your application. Thank you everyone.